All right, let's dive into one of the most famous stories ever written, the tale of Don Quixote. He's this incredible character who's kind of a hero, kind of a fool, and just a timeless symbol of that battle between our biggest dreams and, well, reality. And really, the whole story hangs on this one powerful question. What happens when a person's vision for the world is so grand, so all-consuming, that it just completely paves over what's actually there? To figure that out, we have to go right back to the beginning, to our hero's noble dream. We meet the Spanish nobleman, a guy named Alonso Quixano, who is about to go through a pretty dramatic transformation. See, here's the thing about Alonso Quixano. He didn't just like books about knights and chivalry, he was absolutely obsessed with them. He read so many that the line between those epic stories and his own life just completely vanished. He truly believed it was his destiny to bring those tales to life. And what was this world he was so passionate about? It was the world of chivalry. Now, for Don Quixote, this wasn't just a fantasy. It was a sacred duty. It was a code that told him he had to get out there, find adventure, and fight for what's right, no matter what. And this wasn't just some fuzzy daydream either. He had a mission, a real plan. He was going to bring back the age of chivalry, stand up for anyone who needed help, and have some incredible adventures. All so he could earn a little glory for his brand new name, Don Quixote de la Mancha. But this is exactly where his amazing dream runs headfirst into a very solid, very real wall. This is where the big clash begins, between Don Quixote's incredible imagination and, the way the world actually works. And you can't talk about Don Quixote without talking about the windmills. This one scene just says it all. He looks out on the horizon and sees these huge, threatening giants ready for a fight. But what was really there? What did everyone else see? Nothing but a bunch of plain old windmills. Thankfully, Don Quixote wasn't completely on his own. He had his trusty squire, Sancho Panza, who was basically his polar opposite. Sancho was the voice of reason. He's our guy on the ground, the one who saw windmills, not giants, and was always trying to pull his master back down to earth. And here's what's so incredible about him. Even though he was laughed at and constantly defeated, his spirit was always noble, always pure. Sure, his actions might have seemed totally crazy, but his intentions, they were always good. He really truly believed he was fighting for justice. But every great adventure, whether it's real or in your head, has to come to an end. And for Don Quixote, the end of his quest meant he had to face the one enemy he could never, ever beat: the truth. So after all the mishaps and misadventures, he finally goes home just exhausted and beaten down. And it's there that the fantasy, like a fever, finally breaks. He wakes up and his sanity is back. He gives up the whole Don Quixote identity and dies peacefully, just as the simple nobleman Alonso Quixano. So what are we left with? What's the big lesson from this beautiful, tragic story? Well, it's about so much more than just a so-called madman. It's really about that tricky balancing act between the world we wish for and the world we actually live in. The core message isn't that dreaming is bad. Not at all. In fact, the story shows us just how valuable dreams, courage, and hope really are. I mean, that's everything Don Quixote stands for. But it also comes with a really important warning. You've also got to see the world for what it is. So in the end, it's not really a choice between being a dreamer or being a realist. We need the idealist's gift, that courage to try, that hope to keep going. But we also need the realist anchor, that ability to see the truth and stay grounded. A truly meaningful life needs a bit of both. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. We all have windmills in our lives, right? Challenges that seem impossible, or goals that might seem ridiculous to other people. The story of Don Quixote really asks us to look at our own lives and wonder, which of those giants are so important, so noble, that they're worth charging at with everything we've got?